Welcome back, Benchwarmers. I know Brendan has been looking forward to this topic all summer. It is time for NFL training camp.
Oh, bro, I am so pumped. Football for me is like baseball for you. I literally can't get enough of it.
Well, then let's not waste any time and let's get into NFL football.
NFL football is almost here.
I'm Corey, hopeful Titans fan.
I'm Brendan, finally bought Sunday ticket, and this is RV from the bench. Before we get started, if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss any one of the new episodes.
Also, if you could please do us the favor, if you like what you see or hear, please don't forget to smash that like button.
Smash it for us. Come on, it's free. It's free for you. It's free for us. Helps out the channel a lot more than you probably think.
Hell yeah.
Am I dreaming? Am I dreaming, or is it real?
Time of the year, man. It's your time. We're almost there.
Yeah, dude. And like I mentioned in the intro, I finally bought Sunday ticket only because they had some crazy deal. It was like $350 off because that shit is way too expensive. Yeah, but got a little deal through YouTube, so actually really ready for this season to watch as much as I can. That's the cool thing about football is they do have like the morning game, the afternoon game, the night game, the Monday game, the Thursday game. You can watch all of those. But sometimes the morning and the afternoon game kind of suck. And so you want to watch a different version. You know what I mean? I mean, you get it. We have to watch the Raiders or the Chargers or the Rams. That's it.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Sorry.
Sometimes we get stuck watching the Raider games because that's what we have to do in LA. So I'm glad that you're not going to have to suffer through it like some of us do. I will be one of those suffers, but that's because I work a lot of weekends and Sundays, and it's not worth it for me to pay for all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'm off on the weekends, so Sundays is where I just go to church, and then I come home, and that's all I do is that the rest of the time. So without further ado, we're gonna have like a little timer here because I could go on forever, and Corey needs to kind of reel me back in. So we're gonna have a little timer. You'll probably see it on the screen here. We're gonna try to run through a couple of the headlines. There's plenty of out there. Honestly, there's headlines for every team, but we're gonna hit on 6 different teams that we think have some sort of fun storyline going into the season.
Yeah, we'll do 6, and then we'll also do a quick wrap about each of our teams that we root for. There's not a whole lot to talk about, unfortunately, because they both suck. But we will get to them at the end, just real quick to let you know what our really low expectations are for our teams.
That's a great way to put it. All right, well, we're gonna start where all headlines start. In Dallas, of course. There's been so much talk going on, mostly centered around Micah Parsons. But Jerry Jones has been yapping a little bit lately.
He never stops yapping. That's part of the problem. He's always on radio or doing his weekly appearance. He does post-game interviews, and now he's doing training camp stuff, talking about there's a Micah Parsons contract situation unfolding right now because it's the last year of his rookie deal, and he wants more. But coming out and making comment of like, even if we pay him, he could miss games. He missed 6 last year. I mean, he missed 4, but still, that he is right.
But who's counting?
Games. Yeah, I don't.
Not the GM, obviously, because that's who he is apparently. So,
well, he did say he thought about leaving the GM position for a millisecond, but that was it. So
at least he gave
it a thought.
That's not even really a thought, but you know what? Hey, if it's his team, if he wants to, be the, they said something on First Things First that is like so perfect. Jerry Jones has to make headlines in July and August because they're not relevant in January and February. So
it's literally the most right thing I think I've heard. That is exactly the correct way to describe the Cowboys and Jerry Jones specifically, because in our lifetime, they did win early, but it's been 30 years since they've been to an NFC title game, which I think is the longest drought in the entire conference. So,
it's just pretty bad. I mean, people will knock them, and I kind of throw my hand out saying, hey, the Niners haven't really won any either, but at least they've been to Super Bowls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, granted, they've lost, but at least they've been there. These guys get one playoff win, if that, and boom, right back out.
Yeah, and it doesn't help with Dak Prescott, them paying him all that money, and he mentioned that. We did pay Dak to make him like one of the highest paid players of all time, and then he missed 2/3 of the season. So even though they get a contract done if they do with Micah before the season starts, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play all 16 games, or 17 games, which is a weird thing to say as a general manager and owner because you don't want to put that in the ether, but Jerry does things differently. So
I think it's a clout thing. I think he likes being the person who can make the highest paid quarterback, highest paid this, highest paid that with CeeDee Lamb, right? Receiver,
yeah,
even though it's all momentary, because as soon as you sign somebody, the next person's going to get paid more money if they're that talented. And I just don't understand why you don't pay Micah Parsons. He literally best reps the Cowboy. He is diehard Cowboys. He's a great ambassador for the team. He's not in trouble like a bunch of Ezekiel Elliott's and stuff that he's played before. I just don't understand why they don't give him the money, because you're eventually going to pay him. Why not just get it out of the way kind of thing?
Well, I guess the way they do it is everything's last minute. I mean, even last year, Dak Prescott's contract was literally the day before the season started
I
or
think it
the
was the
morning
day
of
of.
Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was the morning of.
They do things different in Dallas, as we've learned over the years.
Well, Micah, make sure you get your money, bro. You should get paid more. And I think TJ Watt is a fantastic player. But something about you is a little bit, he is a pass rusher. But you as a linebacker can do a little bit more than just rush the passers. So I don't know. I think they got to pay him. They're gonna pay him. Why not just hurry up and get it done?
Yeah, the longer you wait, the more the bill's going to keep going up, because if he plays better as the season goes on, then his asking price is just going to keep going up. So get it over now while you can before it gets out of control.
Very true. Very true. Talking about bills going up, let's move on to the Bills.
I like
a little
our
bit different kind of
there.
bill.
Not even on purpose, but that was a really good transition.
Yeah. I mean, you said Bills, and that's one of the teams that we're going to talk about, so we might as well move on to them next. As much as people might think, well, what did they do this offseason? Honestly, they haven't really done a ton, but this is a team that's been on the borderline, has an MVP now in their quarterback and Josh Allen, and has really been in the mix always. Last year, so many people have written them off that they were kind of surprised to be up as high as they were, competing with Kansas City for the number 1 seed really late in the season. And I think the only thing that they really lack, besides people might say wide receiver talent, I don't think Josh Allen needs it, to be honest with you, because he still puts up fat numbers, obviously winning an MVP with Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman, rookie at that time, and Dalton Kincaid. Like, no offense to these guys, they're all professional athletes, but at the same time, he's not throwing to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You know what I mean?
No, and compared to who they had before, because even when they let a couple guys go last season, they went into the 24 season. Everyone was like, well, who's he going to throw to? We have guys with a combined career reception number of like 10, and there's 5 guys on the wide receiving core. So it's a very big question. But obviously, as you mentioned, Josh was able to do just as well with what he had and make it work. And I think, if anything, it proves to Buffalo that they don't need to spend big money on wide receivers, spend it on other things. Defense, one of the things, bringing in Joey Bosa. Up and down career as far as injuries are concerned, but if he's healthy and he's not the guy and he can just be a piece, like kind of like Von Miller was for Buffalo before, or even Von Miller was the year he was in LA as a Ram. If he can just
more
do
like
his
that
thing,
one, because he didn't do shit in Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. If he can just play his part and do his thing to help and not have to be the main focus, or not even do every down, he can play half the downs if that's what it takes.
Always third down kind of thing.
Yeah, keep you healthy and get you through the year, and then give Buffalo an opportunity, because Buffalo's going to score. That's not the issue. But if they have to score 35 points because they're giving up 34 a game, they're going to eventually, get exhausted. So the defense can show up, even if it's young, and now with a old, veteran Bosa that we don't quite know what to expect from. Buffalo is in a good spot, I think, especially in the AFC East. It's kind of theirs to lose at this point.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. That's their division. There's absolutely zero people challenging them for the division. There's going to be some good teams. I think New England's going to improve. Miami's going down. The Jets aren't quite there yet, especially since Justin Fields is hurt now. Apparently, he's going to miss time.
Yeah.
Not that he's the answer, but he's a starting quarterback in the league, so it's something. But back to Buffalo. They had 9 draft picks in this past draft, and to your point, they wanted to address the defense. They spent 6 of them on defense. 3 corners. They've had their first round pick was on a corner, a 5th round, and a 6th round pick. And then in the middle of all that, they really shored up their defensive line with a couple defensive tackles and 1 edge rusher in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round picks. They didn't, kind of what we touched on a little bit, they didn't waste any time either in trying to get Josh some help, albeit a little bit later, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. They got a tight end, a wide receiver, and an offensive tackle. You can never use too many offensive linemen. It's always nice to have some protection for your star quarterback. So we'll see what they could do. But honestly, the main question isn't whether or not they're going to be good. The main question is, can this team beat the Chiefs ever in the playoffs?
I kind of look at the Bills as I do the Rams in the NFC. Like, they have everything. They have a really young defense, but it's because they're young and they're good and cheap, so they're able to pay other positions. And they had a similar ride last year. They were kind of in the run towards the end, but just fell short. I think Buffalo actually has a really good chance to win the AFC this year for sure.
Yeah, they're good. They got obviously great teams ahead of them with Kansas City, with Baltimore, obviously. So it's not going to be easy. I mean, even they beat Baltimore last year.
Yeah.
So in the playoffs. So that was something. But I don't know. Lamar Jackson looks great, and that team is always good. So yeah.
And the NFC North, if you're the Ravens, is never going to be easy to. I'm sorry, AFC North, if you're the Ravens, is not going to be an easy feat. I mean, we'll transition to the Bengals at this point. Looking at the Bengals, like Joe Burrow's there, Jamar Chase is there, T. Higgins is there, but the Hendrickson thing is becoming a distraction. And not that he's not necessary, I think, but he's more of he only kind of does one thing as far as pass rushing. He doesn't do a lot, doesn't play
He
all
led
the
the league in
roles.
sacks, though. I mean,
I'm not arguing that, but
okay.
compared to some of the guys in his position that play more downs and do more things, I think he's asking for probably more money than they're hoping. Well, I mean, Bengals are kind of cheap and don't like to spend money if they don't have to in general. So that's
I don't
part
think
of
he's
the
asking
problem.
for like TJ Watt money or what Micah Parsons is looking for. I think he's just looking to get paid what he's worth. And literally, especially since Sam Hubbard retired this offseason, he's basically their best defensive player. Like,
Yeah.
I get that you just wanted to throw a ton of money at Jamar Chase, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to let T. Higgins go, especially since
Yep.
you're seemingly not paying anybody on defense. You better pay somebody on offense.
Yep.
But damn, maybe they should have thought about paying people on defense and just have Jamar Chase. We just talked about Buffalo. Who do they have to throw to?
Mm-hmm.
And Josh Allen's making it happen. If Joe Burrow is the man that everybody thinks he is, does he actually need Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in order to be successful? If
I
so, is he really the man that we all think
Yeah,
he is?
I could not agree more. If they could have let one of them go and keep one and then use the money to give Hendrickson a deal and then even some other pieces on the defensive side to
Yep.
help, it would have made more sense. It's the Buffalo Ram thing that it's cheap and young inexpensive guys on the defensive side, get the offense set up. But Hendrickson is, like you said, led the league in sacks last year. So he's worth having on the team. And if you're Joe Burrow, if you're that good, you don't need two A1 receivers. You could probably get
No.
away with
T.
one
Higgins is
A.
a one, to your
Yeah,
point.
agreed. Absolutely. No arguments. But you don't need two of them if you have to have money to disperse, throughout the rest of the team. I think it's
It's a
worth it
cap
having
league.
one. Yeah, it is what it is. This is the way the NFL is structured. So make it work with what you got. But I guess they decided more offense is better than defense. But in the AFC North, that just doesn't seem like a good decision.
No. The one thing that they did do on defense was fire the defensive coordinator. I guess that's a good start, right? But it's not just his fault that the people on the field weren't doing well. I mean, granted, it can be. Schematics are
Mhm.
important. What they did do is they hired the defensive coordinator actually out of Notre Dame, Al Golden. Now, the Bengals website really makes this seem like it's the best thing since sliced bread. They know that he led the Notre Dame defense to the second best scoring defense in the nation last year, holding 12 opponents to 17 points or fewer, and then finishing 14-2, and then losing to the other team that I don't like talking about. I'm not going to say anything bad about them because I said I wouldn't, but the other team I don't like talking about in the national title game. The question that I have, though, for you, Corey, is granted, you did great. You held all these teams to under 17. How is this going to pan out in the pros? When you're facing Lamar Jackson twice this year, is this something noteworthy that you held some college teams to 17 points?
No, and it also doesn't help that Notre Dame doesn't play in a conference schedule. So depending on who those opponents are,
True.
that's not SEC. We're not talking Big Ten opponents scheduled the whole way through. They might have
Great point.
SC in there one time or a
And they weren't
random
that great, to be
Miami in
honest.
there or something. But most of their schools they play are not, high end or top 25 teams. So yeah, that's great, and those are good stats. But again, as you mentioned, transitioning from college to pro is a big change. And again, the class of the opponent we're talking about is going to be a different level completely compared from last year.
So basically, the Bengals have to outscore everyone again.
Yeah, they are going to do exactly the same thing. They're going to try to outscore everybody, score 35 to 40 points, and hopefully they only give up 30 to 35, and it's not always a nail biter at the end of the night. But
All right, 9-8, here we come. Speaking of scoring, though, let's move over to Detroit. Number one offense in the country, like it's college. Number
yeah,
one offense in the league, which I mean, technically it's the country,
I was
but
gonna say you're
it's
not wrong
not
at
the
all,
not.
is it?
Yeah, but no, you don't say that. You don't say that. You say in the league. Number one offense in the league last year under Ben Johnson. That's gone. A pretty solid defense, albeit literally every single starter was hurt with Aaron Glenn. That guy's gone. So I'm super curious. Is since the personnel is basically the same on offense, Goff is there, the line is there. They did lose Ragnow, the center,
Mhm.
starting center, so that's a huge blow because just ask Jason Kelsey how important the center position is. Now, granted, as soon as he retired, the Eagles still won the Super Bowl, but I digress. That's not the point. That team is stacked.
Yeah, it's
So
also a group that's
line
been
is
playing together for a long period of time in
true,
Philadelphia.
true. Yeah. So line's decent. Same running backs, same receivers, same tight end, same quarterback. Is this like a Ben Johnson thing? Do you think they can even get close to repeating the level of scoring they did last year?
I mean, that's going to be what's going to ultimately prove what Detroit is now. Was it Ben Johnson? Was he the magic, thing that got this all stirred and getting going, or is it something Campbell can, push into this new offensive coordinator? And because they have the same team and continuity as far as the players, they're able to continue what they're doing. I've got to think they're going to take at least a step back,
Yeah,
minimum
they may not be
slightly.
first.
But also with the defensive coordinator change, I think that's a big thing because now it's on Campbell. It's not just you have a great staff below you, and he might at this moment, but we don't know that yet. So
True.
from the fans' perspective, it's really like Campbell. Are you really that good of a coach, or was it the guys you brought in that really helped get your team to where it was, and you just happened to be, the voice of it, but you weren't actually leading them to the promised land? So it'll be interesting to see. And if this season goes really bad, especially if they start off really bad and go like 2-7 or something, don't be
Damn.
shocked. Don't be shocked if Campbell's, on the chopping block at that point. They might have to think
True.
this run is over, and we might have to start with a new coach and a new regime moving forward.
Damn, I don't know about 2-7, but yeah, I mean,
I haven't looked at their
I'm not saying
schedule in
it's
the
on the
first 8 or
board.
9 weeks, but anything can happen.
True. They did hire John Morton, who was actually Ben Johnson's senior offensive assistant in 2022. So there's some familiarity there.
Yeah.
He actually spent the last 2 seasons in Denver as the passing game coordinator under Sean Payton. So honestly, maybe that's a good thing. He learned a little bit from Ben Johnson, then got some stuff from Sean Payton, who's obviously a coveted offensive genius, as some would say. So maybe he's able to bring some extra spice. Bo Nix did look really good last year. Russell Wilson, obviously not necessarily the year before, but Bo Nix looked great for a rookie. So maybe there's that. And then the defensive coordinator, they promoted linebackers coach from last year, Kelvin Shepard. So the system might be similar.
Yeah.
And they're getting, obviously, all these people that were injured, they're getting them all back, including Aiden Hutchinson, who is their star defensive pass rusher.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't think I'm not saying you're wrong. Honestly, if they start out 2-7, we'll come back to this recording and be like, damn, Corey called it pretty early. So I don't know about 2-7, but to your point, maybe if they're 4-3, you know what I mean? 4-4.
I just think about what Detroit was before this little run, and is the run over and the window of opportunity to win a Super Bowl.
Do you think the Super Bowl's over?
I think so.
If they don't do it this year, or you think even it's closed now?
I think the window is closed. They had their chance when they brought back Ben Johnson when he could have left a year ago after the NFC title game that they were leading and could have won ultimately.
That's defense, though. Defense. They scored 35 points against the freaking
in general,
Commanders.
I just think the vibe of what you had has, once the coordinators are out, even if it is continuity guys moving up positions, it's still not the same person having the same feel and call of the game. So I just think it changes things. I think Campbell gets exposed a little bit this year as not as good a coach as maybe as we had thought because of the coaching staff below him is not.
Dang, you're down on the Lions this bad, huh? Okay.
It's not that I'm down. I just think realistically, like that's what the Lions historically do. So they
went
had this
15-2 last year.
How many times have we talked about a team from last goes to first every single year the year prior? Why not the other way around? And the NFC North,
the Bears are winning the North. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, the NFC North's not easy. Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota was good last year, even without McCarthy in there now. So there's a lot of expectations for a lot of these teams. I just, for some reason, I get a bad vibe for Detroit this year.
I do not think they're winning the division, but I do think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're coming in at least second, or I think 3 teams from the North could make the playoffs, similar to how it was last year. So I mean, even if they're the third place team.
And I think Minnesota might be the one that doesn't make it of the 4.
Okay, so that's where we should transition to. So you think Chicago? Ben Johnson's obviously new gig as head coach. He's got a great young quarterback, or what many think is a great young quarterback in Caleb Williams. Do you think they're going to be the ones that are kind of jumping up, huh?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have them winning the division. I think ultimately Green Bay can win the division, but I do think Chicago is going to be vastly improved. I think Ben Johnson coming in is going to reinvigorate Caleb Williams and what he's able to do. They've brought in they brought in Tooney from Kansas City.
That's big.
Offensive line.
That's big.
So I think everything is making a lot of sense in Chicago right now. Their defense last year wasn't great, but the year prior before they got Caleb was pretty good. So if they can kind of get back to playing semi-decent defense and Caleb can remotely look like he knows what to do as a quarterback in the NFL, then I think they can easily win 8 or 9 games and flirt with a wild card spot.
They did sign a couple of other offensive linemen, Tooney being the biggest one, but they got a couple free agents because one of the things that was pretty bad last year, albeit a lot of it is on Caleb for holding the ball a little bit too long, was he took a ton of sacks. Yeah. I think he was like second or third in the league in sacks, but as far as pressure goes, they did okay. I think they were like 15th in pressure, but second in sacks. It's just him just really holding the ball for a long time. But hopefully Ben Johnson, well, hopefully for him, I'm not necessarily a Bears fan. Hopefully for him and Bears fans, they will he can improve. He did set some lofty goals. Well, one of them's lofty, the other one not so much. He wants to be the first 4,000-yard passer in Bears history because that's, I think, the only team left that doesn't have one, which is insane to think about in this era, because
Yeah.
that's all they do is throw the damn ball, air it out like crazy. But he also wants to hit a 70% completion percentage. I
Wow.
heard Nick Wright talking about it, and I think it's kind of a good point. Being accurate is important, of course, right? But there's also that line of risk versus reward, right? Last year he was a 62.5% completion percentage. That is for sure too low.
Yeah.
But 70%, you need to increase your percentage 7.5%. If he's actually going for that, is he going to be taking those chances downfield? Is he going to try to squeeze it in that pocket for the first down, or is this going to be lots of dinks and dunks because he's trying to hit 7,000? That's
You
the part I'm kind of concerned about, especially since league average is 65. It's not saying that you have to be at 70. Just
Yeah,
be at league average 65.
I agree, and that's the first thing I thought of was like, well, that's great if he gets up to 70, but are we going into Chad Pennington mode back in the day with the
Right.
Jets, where you're just throwing everything 2 to 5 yards, and then they're running for 10 or 12, so you look like you're getting a lot of yards on your passing, but it's really the yak that the wide receiver's getting, and you're not. You're just getting rid of it so you don't get sacked and letting them make the plays. So that could come into play as far as what Caleb ends up doing, but hopefully he learns and Ben is able to maybe reinvigorate him, kind of like when Caleb went to Oklahoma and then obviously followed Lincoln Riley to USC, and then he had that Heisman Trophy year in SC with Lincoln Riley running things. So I'm kind of thinking it might be a similar vibe with him and Ben Johnson, and if that's the case, maybe not MVP because I think that's a big jump for him, but
Yeah,
it
no.
would be nice to see him improving. I think 4,000 yards is a high goal to set. I would say
I
maybe
think it's easy. I think he's got it.
I would say 3,500 would be nice considering Chicago's never had one, and if they're winning, then I think it's a good call. But 4,000 is a nice goal to have. I don't know.
Last
Chicago.
year he had 3,500,
Okay, so then
and he had nobody to throw to.
all right, then he might do. I always think about playing outdoors in the winter in Chicago and
True.
Green Bay. Those are a couple
Not wrong.
games that are a little rough. So
True. Not wrong
we'll
there.
see.
Not wrong there. Speaking of semi-outdoors, let's move over to SoFi, close to home. It's domed, but its walls are open, so it's kind
Yeah,
of weird. But either way, it's a beautiful stadium. If you haven't been to SoFi, go check it out. Because honestly, the only thing I haven't seen there is a game. I've seen
that's right. You see
concerts and all
concerts.
sorts of things. Yeah, but I haven't seen to a game. I'm not necessarily a Rams or a Chargers fan, so although they
Facts.
do play my team. But anyways, this is a team that I kind of think is going to be good. They were already good last year, and they've only, from what I've seen, improved.
Yeah,
The big thing that they've done, the biggest story at least, is obviously landing Devontae Adams. They sent Cooper Cup. No, they released Cooper Cup. He signed with his hometown Seahawks,
hmm
and I do think this is not a slight or a shot at Cooper Cup, but Devontae Adams is a better receiver than Cooper Cup. I
absolutely.
don't think Devontae Adams ever had a triple crown like Cooper Cup did. So maybe at his peak, Cooper Cup had a better season than any of Devontae's seasons. But looking at an overall career, overall receiver, overall route runner,
Yeah,
hands, height, all that kind of stuff, I would give Devontae the edge there. So now he's got them and Puka. That just really opens up Puka for a lot, right?
yeah, absolutely. I think, and then you have Williams at running back, and they still got excuse me, the
Kyron.
kid from Michigan. So they've got some options on offense, and Stafford's back, and we might be looking at the last year of Stafford in LA, maybe Stafford in general if he wins a Super Bowl and decides to hang it up after
Oh
two of
yeah, I
them.
think that's how it would do it. If he wins a Super Bowl, I
That's
think he'd
what I would
retire.
ultimately think. If they win it all, I think he hangs them up. But if they don't, or if they get close, and then we have a discussion next offseason like we did this year, where do they bring him back one more year? Are they ready to transition, or what their plan is? But overall, and not only that, the defensive side, they bring in defensive tackle Puna Ford, who's going to be a great nose tackle to go along with Jared Verse and that great off defensive line that the Rams
Braden
already have.
Fisk. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So if you're the Rams, you were the only team that really gave Philly a run in the playoffs last year. And if not for one bad play on that last drive, I think we're looking at Rams in the NFC title game and possibly beating Washington and going to the Super Bowl. So if
Yeah.
you're the Rams, the only thing is they need to get a better jump off the season start this year
Yeah.
than the last two. The last two, they were like 3-6 and 2-5, and then they had to crawl their way back, and they got hot and were able to do so. But if they can get off to even just 500 after after 6 or 8 games, they're off to a better start, and then they can build from there. But I think the Rams are going to be very scary in the NFC.
Agree. And to your point of, starting hot, that could be the difference of playing in the snow in Philly
Mhm.
last year, being about 10 seconds and 10 yards away from that NFC Championship game. It being at home, it's a lot less blurry, a lot less cold, a lot less all that, noisy. Those Philly fans are noisy as heck. So, yeah, that could be the difference in a lot of things. So I think they're going to be a pretty dominant team. Obviously, health everything bars health. Every single
Yeah, of
team needs
course.
health. So I can't necessarily
Goes
say
without
that,
saying.
but it goes without saying, exactly. So I think they're going to be a pretty solid team. And Devontae is one of those receivers that just fits right in. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, he's a smart receiver. He knows exactly what he can do and what he's supposed to do. And if you give him a gunslinger, that's the thing. He was in Vegas, bro, with I don't
Mhm.
even remember who was throwing him the damn ball, and he was doing work over
I think
there.
last year was Minshew and O'Connell, and before that would have
Yes.
been Carr for that last year before they let him go. So
That was okay. He's a little bit more of a gunslinger, but nothing close to what Matt Stafford is. This is
no,
similar. He's going to feel like he's playing with Aaron Rodgers kind of again. You know what I mean?
exactly. And I think if you look at what wide receivers in the past have had historic years, Calvin Johnson, whose quarterback was it? Matthew Stafford. Puka
Yep.
Nakua, Matthew Stafford was a quarterback. Cooper Kupp, Triple Crown.
Triple Crown.
Matthew Stafford was a quarterback.
Yep.
So I think that alone is going to be a huge jump just to have him. And I think it gives them that option to do the fade into the corner end zone for touchdowns when you're inside the red zone, which they haven't really had that threat in a long time. So I think that's going to
He's
completely
big. He's a
change.
tall guy.
And if you double team that option, then Puka's going to be somewhere cutting underneath the opposite direction. So
Who's
I think the
also a
Rams
great
just,
receiver.
and with McVay running things, it's going to be a lot
Don't
of
get
fun to
much
watch.
better
I'm
than
not a
that.
Rams fan, but it is a lot of fun to watch them with McVay.
Yeah.
Coach.
Thanks, Corey. Jeez. I know it's going to be difficult, all right? You don't have to rub it in. Well, that wraps up the main storylines. Again, there's plenty out there. I could spend hours doing this, but we're going to try to make it into like a nice little concise show. These are the teams that I think that have something to prove this season. Um, Obviously, the Eagles, they lost a couple people on defense, but that team is stacked. They're going to be fine. Howie Roseman's a genius. Chiefs are still the Chiefs. The Baltimore still Baltimore. Some of those teams are, we kind of see where they're at. We wanted to go for some storylines on this one. So you want to wrap it up with our teams?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about storylines. Whew, we got some story. No, we have no storylines here. So the Titans have nothing. They drafted Cam Ward.
That's a story.
I mean,
I
it
like
is,
Cam Ward.
but it isn't because there's no expectations for the team to win. It's more of how good can he be this year. I'm not expecting more than 4 or 5 wins if we're lucky. I just want Cam Ward to get better as the season goes on and not get hurt.
Yep, I was gonna
We
say stay healthy, get good reps.
Will Levis, I think, has realized he's not going to play anyway, so he's having surgery and he's done for the year on a shoulder thing, so that'll take care of that. So there's no pressure. It's literally Cam Ward, and let's see what you can do. They brought in Tyler Lockett to maybe help. They still have who's the guy wide receiver from Jacksonville the year before? Why can't I think of his name right now? Calvin Ridley. And then they also brought in, his name is Xavier. What's his name here? Xavier
Restrepo?
Restrepo, who played with Cam Ward at Miami and was one of his favorite targets. So giving him comfortability and people he's familiar with is good, especially as a rookie. And hopefully the offense can improve. Callahan as the coach last year, I think, first year kind of figuring things out. Hopefully we improve. I'm not expecting a division title or even a playoff appearance, but again, I just want Cam Ward to get better as the year goes on and the team just hopefully build on something for the future moving forward. And
I like Cam Ward. I'm rooting for him.
yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for him.
Obviously you're rooting for him, but
I
I'm
don't want
saying
to put
like
any
as a
high expectations.
no, but I think he's good. I think he's good. He's quiet. He was overshadowed in the draft and didn't make a big deal out of it. Literally the number 1 overall pick, but everyone wanted to talk about Shador.
Yep.
And he
Love
didn't
it.
think twice about it. He's just like, I'm gonna go do my thing. It is what it is. You know what I
And
mean?
there's that
So
clip that came during, I think, like, draft workouts and stuff, where him and Shador together, and Shador's doing some kind of TikTok video, and he's like, "You want to get in?" He's like, "Nah, man, I'm here to play football." So I
yeah,
love that he's focused on football and not the extracurriculars. Not that you can't do extracurriculars, but they did draft you number 1 overall for a reason. So I'm glad to know you're focused, and
exactly.
hopefully it's something that we can build on, and he becomes the next Steve McNair of the franchise. That's the
Like
ultimate.
Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I want a Super Bowl. No, I didn't try in the ring. I'm waiting for the next one.
Yeah,
Let's move
moving
on.
on.
You know what I mean?
Love it. Okay, so now obviously we've talked about my Titans. Let's go over your Cardinals.
Well, I mean, no change at quarterback. We got Kyler still. He's that freaking coin flip of a quarterback, bro. But I know that the one thing that they were doing this offseason is getting Jonathan Nolan, our head coach, who is a defensive minded guy, some defensive players. Drafted Walter Nolan the third. Honestly, looks pro ready. He looks really good. I think he was passed on because I forgot what. There was just concerns. I don't think it was character. I think it was maybe injury or something like that was lingering. So he was passed on a little bit, fell to us. That's great. They signed Josh Sweat, who has been around the league, is a solid defensive vet. Not vet as in too old, like somebody I'm about to mention. They also signed Dalvin Tomlinson. But the big guy that we brought back, Calais Campbell, I think he's about 55 years old, so that should be pretty good. And I'm just kidding, Calais. Huge fan. Always loved Calais Campbell. Was super
Yeah.
happy to see him be successful over in Baltimore. I think he made another stop. I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. Jacksonville. Yeah. So, kind of cool to have him back. That's pretty cool. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks yoked. That fool's been working out all offseason. He's stronger. He's thicker. He's going to be not pushed around anymore. Hopefully be a true number one wide receiver. They paid Trey McBride, one of the top tight ends in the league, at least pass-catching tight ends. I think he's okay at blocking. I think George Kittle's top if you take both sides of the ball. But, paid Trey McBride. He's great. Hopefully he actually gets in the end zone this season instead of like 1 or 2 times because he caught a ton. Yes. But really, I think this comes down to Kyler Murray. He needs to show that he is a franchise player because if this is not going to work, then I think this is going to be his last year in Arizona, which I actually don't mind because it just doesn't seem to be working. It's kind of like my feelings about LeBron. Like, yeah, LeBron's good, but it's kind of getting to the point where I'm just like, maybe if you're not doing it, let's go ahead and move on. Like, we've got a lot of cap space that we can open up. Let's pay somebody else.
Yeah, it might be a time for a change. And, he's been there, feels like a decade almost at this point. I don't know what the actual timeline is, but it's been a long time. And, the injuries early, and then there's the video game situation where he doesn't, prep ahead of time for the game because he's playing Xbox or whatever. But let's see what they can do this year. And again, if they have another bad year and the offense is not good, then it might be time to transition to a new quarterback.
And I'm all for it, to be honest with you. He's shorter than I am, and he's hella athletic. He's got a freaking cannon for an arm. So, that's not necessarily a knock. But, yeah, let's stay focused, Kyler, and see what could go on. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to football season. Not necessarily looking for Cardinal season, but looking forward to football season. Love it, bro. Love it. Love the time of year. Love fantasy. Love watching it. Love the storylines. Just love all of it. So.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. And like I said, no expectations for the Titans, but excited to see. Hopefully we're building something for the future this year. So long-term plans.
Yeah. Well, let us know in the comments below how your team's looking in camp. And also, if you want us to do a short on your team, let us know in the comments. We'd love to talk about whatever team you'd like us to talk about. Drop it down below.
Yeah, or hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at RVUFTB. Give us your biggest headline of camp so far. Maybe we missed a team that is doing something crazy, and we just were overthinking it and thought, we got our 6 teams and the 2 crappy teams we root for. That's enough to talk about.
Agree. Well, appreciate everyone stopping by. Thank you as always for seeing things from our view from the bench. I'm Brendan.
I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace. Football, baby.
This was a Sycamore 4th Studios production.